What is up, everyone? Welcome to Chew on Sports. I am Zachary Van Meter, and my player 2 is...
Chris Temple, as always.
And we are here to bring you quite the episode this week. I got some cool stuff to talk about. There's a lot of sports. Obviously, that's what we do, chew on sports.
But we're going to geek out a little bit today.
We're also going to geek out because you know what? Pop culture is awesome, and comic books are awesome. And the things we're talking about, I think, are also just as awesome.
Awesome!
So before we get into the show and say awesome again, I first off just want to thank you, any new listeners who are tuning in right now. Thank you for listeners who continue to support us and listen every week. We did get a review this week from Josh Duke. Thank you, Mr. Duke. We appreciate the 5-star review. It means a lot, and the written review. That's what it's all about. Any new listeners or repeat listeners, if you would be so obliged as to do the same, it will help us grow this darn thing so we can just get more awesome, more fantastic, and keep saying awesome more times.
Awesome.
On Twitter, I'm TechMoZach, it's my Instagram, TechMoZach. Chew on Sports is my Twitter. Chris Temple, you are
at CTemp03
on the Twitter.
So I gotta get something a little catchier.
That's where we can be found, right there. So first off, before we get into it, I kind of let you know the lay of the episode, kind of what we're going to break down and what we're going to talk about. We both do have our completed NBA brackets. We both did put them on Twitter. I put mine on Instagram and Facebook as well, so there's no cheating. No one can watch the fact that Oklahoma is getting absolutely pounced and try to change their pick. This is what we got. Obviously, we did cover our NHL bracket last week. We'll do an update on that. A couple series are already over. The Brooms were out in 2 of those.
My champion is gone.
Just as we all thunk it, and we're gonna talk about that as well. We're gonna talk a little bit of mock draft update. Mine did not change too much. I feel really good about my top 20 from last week. Obviously, the big episode. We're gonna do the entire first round on next week's show, right before the draft. We got about a week until the draft comes out. We're going to talk a little Game of Thrones. We're going to talk a little Star Wars. And we do this thing live. That's something I wanted to talk about. Here in about the next hour, the NFL schedule's coming out, right?
Absolutely.
And the Stars game's about to start. And I know this is a podcast, so most people listen to this not live. Honestly, obviously, no one is listening to it live.
I mean, yeah, right now, until we figure out the whole YouTube thing.
It's us. And the goal, is to kind of create this show, Chew on Sports, like a radio show. I want it to be real time. When my wife pulls up and my dog barks during every episode, I don't stop it and try to edit that out because I want to create that real element. I feel that's what separates us from most pods, hopefully, is that I'm not trying to I'm just trying to be me. I'm trying to be natural, let you into my world of what it is that I want to talk about, as if we were having a beer or we were talking just on the way in text or whatever that may be. That's my vision. And the next step Chris and I are excited about, we are eventually, here within the next probably 60 days, going to be doing live YouTube during these things, Facebook Live, just ways where we can interact with people, especially when fantasy football's going down. We can give advice, live time. People can ask this. People can say we're terrible, whatever that may be. I'm really pumped to get to that. But one of the cool things about being live is that our phones have these little things called notifications. So I'm pretty sure some of these things are going to pop on while we're talking to you guys right now. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to act surprised about it. And you get to see my natural reaction. And that's how we roll. That's how we do. So once again, thank you for listening. On to the Bora Phil. So first off, Chris made it. He finished Game of Thrones. I think they finished the last 2 episodes like an hour before the premiere of season 8.
Hour and a half before the premiere of season 8.
Okay.
We finished Game of Thrones. It was a marathon sprint to the finish. We had 6 episodes to watch over the weekend. I mean, if you knew me and my wife, we're pretty much always busy on the weekends, and we somehow managed to fit in 6 episodes and a nap.
All right, and a nap. That's important.
Yes.
So let me ask you, I know I've been waiting, 18 months for this, the culmination of the end. I've watched every season live. So you just watched all of it. Were you let down? Were you excited? Were you excited to just worn out and excited that you finally get a break between episodes? What was your...
It's excitement for sure. I really, really love the show. It's probably my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
Either that or Smallville. You know, for you nerds out there, I love the Smallville.
It's good, man.
Universe.
Game of Thrones is very, very good.
But Game of Thrones is fantastic. I was let down that I was only able to watch one episode of season 8.
See, I'm not, because I enjoy talking to coworkers, posting memes like the one I posted today of the stepbrothers where the dragon's in the back, and it's like, I'm not gonna call him dad, not gonna do it. I shared that on Facebook and Twitter if you want to see it, listeners. But I like the aspect of the fact that I get to wait. I get to think about what's happening and what's going to happen on the next episode. So to catch anybody up or to explain what's happening without being too spoilerific is pretty much for the last 5 years, every character has had a side story, right? A lot of them haven't really. It's involved one another, but not directly in communication a lot of the time. So really, this episode we just watched was kind of the, hey, we're back. It's kind of everybody talking to each other and being together for the first time. They've all been to these battles and had these trials that some of them might not even know about, right? And then they get to just they're there. And apparently the Battle of Winterfell is happening next weekend, and holy crud.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to die.
Well, hopefully nobody except for Cersei Lannister.
Oh, man.
And the Mountain, but we don't ever get what we want on this show.
Right, I'm hyped, man. I'm pumped for it. Speaking of pumped, just to kind of shift from Game of Thrones a little bit, I am a Star Wars fanatic. And for anybody who doesn't know, the Star Wars celebration went on this past weekend, and they revealed a whole bunch of stuff. The Star Wars trailer for Episode 9 dropped, which already has more views over the weekend than Solo had in the entire year run of the trailer. But they revealed the trailer for that. There's apparently a new show coming this November called The Mandalorian that's going to be like Game of Thrones style. It's not going to be. It's a streaming show for the Disney app, right? A Mandalorian is like Boba Fett. Boba Fett's a Mandalorian. So it has that cool looking, like I'm a knight type armor. And it's going to be a story of the bounty hunter, basically. And the show's going to be on the streaming service, right? But it's not going to be all available at once. It's going to be week to week. Like if you're watching Game of Thrones right now, which I think is actually cool because I like to experience it. I like to talk about it. I like to know what's happening. I like that. And then also they're bringing back the Clone Wars cartoon, which is cool. Just so much Star Wars, just to go crazy. What do you think about all of this?
I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I can't wait for Episode 9 to finally come out. I'm thrown off a little bit by the title. The Rise of Skywalker. I'm assuming that means Daisy is a Skywalker. She's probably Luke's daughter in that regard. I couldn't see who else would have sired her, as we could say. But
well, I think here's my take on it, and I could be completely wrong. Obviously, nobody knows yet, right? Is that I was really let down by the last episode. I know I remember telling you this. Like I was extremely the fact that I thought Rey, and it's funny because I think we all did. We thought Rey was somebody more than what she ended up being. It was such a letdown for me, and then Snoke was such a letdown. I'm just like, what? Really? That's the best you're gonna throw at me? And I've normally liked everything. I even enjoyed the prequels for the first time I saw them for what they were. So I was disappointed because I expected so much, and I love The Force Awakens. It's fantastic to me. But I'm thinking two things: either she's a Skywalker. Okay, which would be the easy explanation, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the Jedi are gone and they call them Skywalkers now. Maybe that's kind of the term, kind of like how in The Dark Knight, Batman, anybody can wear the mask. It's the symbol. It's not really necessarily Batman type thing.
I mean, I guess that could work, but it just doesn't make sense to me because Ben is part Skywalker. His mother is a Skywalker. But he's a Solo as well, so it doesn't work in my mind.
Is there another Skywalker we don't know about?
I mean, there's always that possibility.
I don't know. They announced the new video game coming out where there's a Padawan who nobody knew about who's going to kick butt and take names. Did you see the preview for that?
I have not.
Oh, it looks really cool. It's a first-person story game. It was like a kid that got away from Order 66. It's called Jedi: The Fallen Order, I believe is the name of it. And the kid escapes, and he's been living his whole life. It reminds me, gosh, forgive me, this might not be a great analogy, but it reminds me almost like the Jews when they were hiding in Nazi Germany. It's like, I can't show my force powers. I can't let people know I have this. And the story of the game is like his friend's dying, and he shows his force. So he's on the run the rest of the game is what it looks like. And they're trying to hunt him down because it takes place, I believe, after Return of the Jedi and before, or no, I'm sorry. It takes place after Episode 3 and before Episode 4. So it's in that gap. So Darth Vader is Darth Vader and all that good stuff. So maybe he'll make, who knows? But I know we're chew on sports here. We like to chew on everything else, but I'm pumped about Star Wars: The Possibilities. So we'll be talking about what we think and everything else. If you haven't watched the trailer for Star Wars, check it out. At the end, is that the Emperor? The Emperor's the guy laughing. Is the Emperor gonna be a ghost? Was he the one controlling Snoke? Has he been alive all these years?
I think he has been alive. I don't think he actually died based off of rumors that are swirling around. Thinking just like the way you are.
Well, I know that in the cartoon, The Clone Wars, I read this. Darth Maul, apparently, who's the red guy from Phantom Menace, who's a cool character who wasn't in the movie enough, quite frankly.
No, absolutely not.
Apparently, he didn't die. Apparently, he got chopped in half, but his hate was so great for just everything being so evil that he lived off hate for years and eventually came back like his half robot. And you actually, if you've seen the Solo movie, after credits, he's in it. He's the one that's behind everything. So, very well could be that he's very much alive. Maybe he's trapped in that Death Star piece that they show on the main. Who knows? I can't wait. I will be there day one. Speaking of day one, we've got about a week and a half till Avengers, and I'm trying to hide from the internet right now. For all my listeners, if you're on Twitter, let me give you a hot tip you can do. You can actually go to your settings and block words. So if you are someone who doesn't want Avengers to get spoiled because apparently leaks are happening, you can block the word in-game and the word Avengers, the word Thor, the word Hulk, whatever you want. So I would suggest doing that, and you can pick for how long you block it. So you can say, I want to block it from Monday next week, which people might start seeing it, all the way till Sunday. I know Chris and I, we have quite the Sunday. Apparently, we're gonna go to brunch, see Avengers at 2, and then we're going to be out of it by 6, and then at 8's Game of Thrones. So that's quite the nerd day.
Yes, it's a nerd gasm.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a good one. So that's gonna be real cool. So real quick, we did not get to talk NBA last week because the playoffs or the seeding was still happening. Last week, right? Whenever we were doing our show.
Yep.
So we are going to break down first and foremost. We're going to start NBA. So for those of you who do not like nerd talk, you can pay full attention to the sports now. We are back. We're in action. So NBA wise, we did talk about who we did. So I'll just talk about who I think is going to win each series real quick, and then I'll let you go, Chris. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So, Lakers and Golden State Warriors, or not Lakers, Clippers and Golden State Warriors. I have the Warriors. I think the Warriors are going to win that. I think America believes they're going to do that. Although, in Game 2, the Warriors gave up a 31-point lead. I mean...
That's the biggest lead. That's the biggest deficit ever overcame in NBA history.
And they lost Boogie Cousins for the playoffs now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big loss. He played really well for them this year.
I still think they're the best team. I don't think it's going to hurt them.
I mean, come on.
I think it gives Houston a fighting chance if Houston makes it past Utah, which my bracket says. I really do. I think Houston could take it. If all bets are off in a Game 7, right? So I think Houston would have a possibility to stretch it to that, but I still think KD, Clay, and Steph's too good for you, dude. I'm not buying. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid that losing Boogie just put them in a spot where they're going to lose to anybody. I have the Rockets beating the Jazz. It looks like I'm going to get this wrong, although they do say a series doesn't begin until somebody wins a game on the road, right? But I have picked Oklahoma to beat Portland, and in 5 games, so that ain't happening. Oklahoma's down 0-2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Denver to beat San Antonio, and I flip-flopped on that. I originally picked San Antonio, then I switched it. They're tied 1-1. In the second round on the West, I have Golden State getting past Houston. I have Denver beating Oklahoma, so I could very possible have neither team alive in the second round. And my championship is I have Golden State beating Denver is in the West. What do you have out West, sir?
Out West, I have Golden State beating the Clippers in 4, which we know that's not going to happen now because it's 1-1.
Right.
I have Houston beating Utah 4-2. It's 1-0 right now. Houston's up. I have Portland beating your Oklahoma City Thunder.
Nice.
And then I have Denver beating the Spurs to move along. And then I have Golden State beating the Rockets in 7. And then I have Portland beating Denver in 7 as well, with Golden State advancing.
And you have Golden State playing Portland or Denver?
Portland.
In the championship?
Yes.
Ooh, that's you never know. I mean, I like Damian Lillard, man. I'm a Damian Lillard dude. I've liked him ever since he made that game-winning shot against Houston over Chandler Parsons in the playoffs in round 1. And he was on the cover of NBA Live the next year, NBA Live 16 or 15, excuse me. I really enjoyed that game as well. I liked it better than 2K at that year. So I like me some Damian Lillard. That would be awesome. I don't think they would stand a chance. I think realistically, what would be the best series? Houston versus Golden State really is the playoff series. We want to be the Western Conference Championship, right?
Yeah, but they're going to meet in the second. They're going to meet in the second round,
right? So who's the team that would give the who do you think has the best chance?
The best chance would be Denver.
They didn't fare too well during the year. Although Jamal Murray, did you see the game last night?
He balled out.
Jamal Murray had 21 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, I've always liked him, man, and he stepped up, and that's awesome to see.
I mean,
Denver,
they're down 0-2 right now.
Denver could, yeah, right. Denver could do it. Oklahoma's interesting to me. I'm worried. I'm hearing hiccups that Paul George has an injured shoulder. They're not making threes. They might not survive Portland. I do, however, think that Denver and Oklahoma are the 2 teams besides Houston that could have a fighting chance if the stars align properly. That's a big chance, though. I said it, and I stand by it. I do think that Golden State's the best team, and I do think they're going to be holding the trophy when it's over, said and done with, and that's it. I think they break up. I think the balance of the NBA, like I've talked about, is brought back, and we're on to having some fun season. So out east, let's let you start in the East. Who you got?
Out east, I got Milwaukee sweeping Detroit. I mean, that's just a no-brainer.
No Griffin.
No Griffin.
Eesh.
Yeah, that was a massacre the other night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I've got Boston losing to the Pacers in 7.
Okay.
I got the Sixers beating Brooklyn in 5. It's 1-1 right now. And then I got Toronto beating Orlando in 4, which we know that's not going to happen because it's 1-1.
Okay.
But after that, I've got Milwaukee beating the Pacers in 6. And the 76ers beating Toronto in 6. With the Milwaukee Bucks winning in 7 to go to the finals and see the Golden State Warriors.
And who is Milwaukee playing in the finals?
Golden State.
No, in the Eastern Conference Finals.
The 76ers.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have a lot of similarities here. I do have Milwaukee beating Detroit. I have Detroit winning 1 game. So I don't think that's going to happen. So, I mean, after what I saw, should they even show up? Jeez. I have Boston beating Indiana. Man, it sucks too because with Depot, I think Indiana could make a push, but I don't see it happening. I have Philly beating the Brooklyn Nets, and that's going to be a series, man. Even though Philly got pissed off the other night, man. Did you see that?
Oh,
they
yeah.
were up by 1 at halftime, and they scored 51 points in the third. So that series, I'm intrigued to see how Philly handles their first game on the road. If they win Game 3. They're not going to lose another game that series.
No.
If Philly goes in there and wins that, period. Not the elimination game, not any. Philly's just going to manhandle them the rest of the way.
I mean, as they should. They're the better team.
Right. But if Brooklyn can steal that game, this one could get cute and go 6 or 7 with Philly still winning.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Sixers, you don't want that to happen, though.
No, of course not. Toronto and Orlando. I was very surprised Orlando took the first game. I have Toronto winning. I still think Toronto's going to win. I'm all for Orlando and their fans getting wins, though, man. So that's good. I'm a Jonathan Isaac guy and a Vujacic. I dig it. I think Toronto's going to win. I have Toronto playing the 76ers in the next round. And then I have Milwaukee playing Boston. I got Milwaukee beating Boston and the 76ers beating the Raptors. So you and I have exactly the same Eastern Conference Finals. So there's not a difference there whatsoever. I have Milwaukee losing, though. Did you have Milwaukee losing?
No, I've got Milwaukee going on.
I have Milwaukee losing to the 76ers. I have Sixers versus Golden State as my championship.
And I've got Golden State versus Milwaukee.
It's going to be a fun ride, man. So we've got this going on. During the playoffs, the lottery will happen on May 14th. So we're going to be during, the end of the second round?
Yes.
Probably by then. So it'll be intriguing to see how that falls, to see what team's going to be where. We can start doing some NBA mock draft action as well at that point. Also, you've got the draft just right around the corner. It's just always something, man, with the NBA. It's cool. The way the NFL and NBA does the offseason really is special because you really can talk that sport year-round because there's always something going on.
Absolutely.
In the NBA, it dies down a little bit after free agency, after the 4th of July, but the summer league's going on and some other stuff. But then NFL's starting to kind of really
baseball's coming.
Go full swing.
Well, I guess baseball's full swing at that point too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's NBA portion. Now NHL, going back to our brackets. Woo! Just an update to you guys if you're not a hockey fan. Here's where the NHL playoffs stand right now. You've got the Jets. They're tied 2-2 right now with the Blues. Chris picked the Jets, and I picked the Jets as well. So we both have the Jets winning that series. Vegas is up 3-1. I did not pick Vegas. I picked them to lose. So it's looking like I'm super wrong there. The Blue Jackets swept the best team in hockey. Like, I can't. Wow. You know what's crazy about that is I know that other losses have happened, and we're going to talk about them real quick about Tampa Bay. But for me, this is the biggest letdown I've ever seen getting eliminated in a series in the first round since my 07 Mavs. The 07 Mavs won 60-plus games, were the number 1 seed, played the 8 seed Warriors, and they got their butts beat. So I know that this is the best record ever in hockey that they just had. I get that. But I'm thinking, like, letdown wise, it's very, very eerily similar to that beatdown.
Oh yeah, I mean that's ridiculous.
That hurt me so bad too, man. So listen to this. I found this on the interweb last night. So every team that's been the best as far as the regular season goes didn't win a championship. Now that doesn't mean they lost in the first round, but check this out: 2001 Mariners. They went 116-46. 116-46, no championship. The 1906 Cubs, 116-36, no championship. The 2015-2016 Warriors, 73-9, no championship. The 2018-2019 Lightning, 62-16-4, no championship. The 1995-96 Red Wings, 62-13-7, no championship. And last but not least, the 07 Patriots, 16-0, 18-1, done, son, no championship. That's crazy.
So what does that tell me? Don't be the best at what you do during the regular season?
Not necessarily, because in the Super Bowl this year, the number 1 seed was in it, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean don't be the best. It just means apparently if you... Maybe it has something to do, like, think about the Warriors. We'll use basketball real quick, even though I know we're talking hockey. Like, the year that the Warriors won, they tried to win that many games. Like, they exerted energy and were pushing to beat the Bulls' record.
Yes.
So there's a real chance that maybe that took a little pep, right?
I mean, they were up 3-1 against the Cleveland.
At the very end, maybe that doesn't happen if they're not so concerned.
What happens if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended 1 game?
I don't know. Who knows?
I mean,
what happens What happens? I mean, there's a lot of what ifs.
What happens if the Mavs don't get knocked out by Golden State in 07? 06?
Quiet you. But yes, there's a lot. So that is a monumental, just huge collapse. The Islanders, man, I didn't see this coming. They swept the Penguins. And
I didn't see it going that way either. I had Pittsburgh winning that one.
I did too. Did you see the Caps? The Caps are up 2-1. I expect them to win the series. Did you see Ovechkin knock that dude out?
I mean, I think the ice knocked that dude out more than anything.
Like, that kid's 19. He's a 35-year-old man. He just destroyed him.
He asked Ovechkin for the fight. He's like, he's like, let's go.
Man, the Leafs that I picked to win are up 2-1 right now. Let's go Leafs. I had them beating Tampa Bay in the next round, so I'm liking the Leafs. I'm liking it.
This is my OKC pick.
I'm smelling what the Rock is cooking. And then we've got Colorado up 2-1 right now. So I have Dallas and Toronto very much in the championship. So I'm still alive in my bracket. Although, man, the Dallas Stars, we need some action tonight. Man, the Dallas Stars, if they play hockey like they did Monday night in the second and third period, we will win the game and we will not lose again the rest of the series.
Yeah, we can win the series, but our biggest problem is that our third and fourth line just isn't as deep as Nashville. They're 2 lines deeper than we are. Their defense, they don't just play defense, they can score with their third and fourth line. Our third and fourth line is hope to God that we don't give up any goals.
Yeah, and the problem is that the game Monday for the Stars was so wonky. And what I mean by wonky is that it just was really perturbing to me, quite frankly, how easy 2 of the goals were against Bishop, who normally wouldn't give those up.
I mean, one of the goals he took his right side blocker out, and it was out of 45.
It's so weird.
And the puck it went into the net. I mean, things like that don't usually happen. I mean, it hits your blocker solid, and it kicks away. It doesn't carry him into the back of the net.
And on top, and then some of those shots we had we had some good looks, man. And I mean, that's hockey. That's what makes hockey so awesome and playoff hockey so amazing. The issue that I really have, though, bottom line, is that if you're going to lose the game, is that the better game to lose? Because you win tonight, you're taking momentum into Nashville.
You have to,
right? I know you have to win tonight.
It's not even. Yes, you have to.
But
you're right.
Would you rather win on Monday, where you're up 2-1, lose tonight, heading into Nashville on a loss, or would you rather be tied 2-2 heading into Nashville on a win?
It doesn't matter. I'd rather be tied 2-2 going into Nashville, no matter which way it went.
Okay, fair enough. So you're not a momentum believer in that aspect.
No, I am a momentum believer, but when you're the underdog, it doesn't matter as long as it's tied.
Okay,
you always have a puncher's chance.
Yeah, if they don't win tonight, they need some Cleveland Cavalier magic.
Yeah, because the one win we got in Nashville, we shouldn't have got.
No,
they were the better team.
Yeah,
so we got lucky and stole one there.
We did end up out shooting them.
So you got to think we outplayed them Monday night, and they came away with a win. So we each stole a game from each other.
I feel good about it.
So in my eyes, it's even the way it came out. It's like when the Rangers played the A's not the A's, but the Angels, and they were up 6-1, and then they wound up losing. And then they came back from the Angels the next day, down by 4. You know, they both got a win out of the 2 games that they shouldn't have won.
Well, I want us to win 5-1 tonight.
I want us to win. I just want us to win.
We'll give them 1 goal.
I don't care about the score. A win is a win is a win.
Very nice, very nice. So on to NFL schedule breakdown that's going on tonight. There's a couple things. The Cowboys. For our Cowboys listeners, will start the season versus the Giants.
Why? Why do they do this to us?
Apparently it's a thing. Water is wet. And you know what disappoints me the most is I'm a big red zone guy. I love it when the Cowboys play Monday Night Football, Thursday night, because I can literally watch red zone all day.
Have you heard the potential Sunday night matchup?
It's Steelers and Patriots.
Why?
Well, the Steelers are they're opening the year with the Bears and the Packers.
Yeah, it's the oldest rivalry.
I wish it was the Chiefs or the Cowboys, because the Patriots play both, and we would be playing in New England this season anyway.
Yes,
but that's the Steelers.
And
whatever,
it's a Sunday night game.
And then Texans and Saints.
I guess I could see why they're doing
Monday night.
I guess you could technically see why they're doing it. I mean, the game they're doing the Thursday night is Chiefs or Bears and Packers.
Right, oldest rivalry.
And then the Sunday night game, it's the 2 teams that have 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Does that make sense? And then Monday night, you've got Broncos versus Raiders is the second game. And then the first game is Texans Saints, I believe. And there's a bunch of other schedule stuff that's been leaked so far that's coming out. And I'm not sure about Thanksgiving or any of that yet. And quite frankly, I'm not a very big schedule guy. Like, for fantasy purposes, I am, if that makes sense. But we really don't know what defenses are what at this point. But for me, I'm very intrigued to see where the bye week is. That's the one thing I'm paying attention to. Like last season, the bye week couldn't have come at a better time.
Oh, for the Cowboys, it was perfect.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
I'm a firm believer that the bye week should be for every team should be week 9.
Just the whole league take off?
The whole league take off because you got some teams to get a bye at week 2.
Yeah. Remember that year we had our bye like week 3 or 4?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not fair, and I know the NFL won't do it because they're like, we're going to lose money. You're not going to lose money.
And because they try to give teams traveling from London a week off.
Well, I mean, they should. That would make sense. Say, you did the games in London week 7, week 8. So, if they get a bye 1 week earlier, it's not that big of a deal. And then you also got teams traveling to Azteca again.
Well, I wouldn't know what to do with myself in fantasy football if that was going on. No game. Be like,
you know what you could do? Yard work with the wife.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd find something to do. Oh,
it would give all the wives out there a break from football 1 week, though.
That's true.
You'd always have college though.
There'd be something to...
College could fill up, college could have, Saturday, Sunday, play big games both days.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I don't dislike it. I
think it's only... They keep talking about competitive balance and all this and fairness. Right. But if a guy gets a bye after week 2 and a guy gets a bye in week 9... some team. There was 2 years ago. There was a bye week 14 or week 13.
Yeah, it was the Titans like 2 years ago. It was week.
There was
14.
There was two teams.
It was week 13.
Yeah, obviously 2 teams have to have a bye.
Yeah.
So there was 2 teams that had a bye week 14.
And then what was it? The bye week was week 1 for Tampa Bay, like the year before. Remember that because of the storms.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay and Miami.
Yeah.
So they ended up having their bye that week, and then they had a bye not the rest of the way.
Yeah, because luckily for them, they both had a bye the same week later in the year.
Right.
So that's why they were able to flip when the game was played.
They should have just played somewhere else. Because you need a week to relax in football. Like, you really need to take...
Hey, you played preseason where you didn't really do anything. Now...
Yeah. Oh,
now take a full week off.
All right, so on to our mock drafts. So for me, not much changed this week. I think I literally changed 4 things. So I'm going to run through my top 5 real quick, and then I'll talk about my changes, and then you can run through your everything, if that's what you need to do, if that much changed for you. For me, I know the Browns decided on Baker apparently the day of the draft last year. But the Browns wanted to take a quarterback, and were going to take a quarterback. Who knows if it was Baker the week before, the day before, minutes before. But the bottom line is they were looking at quarterbacks. That's what they were going to do. There was no notion of trading back, taking an offensive lineman, taking a defensive lineman. It was going to be a QB.
Well, I mean, you got to have all the guys they missed out on. Carson Wentz.
Right. They were doing everything they could, right? Yeah. So for me, the Cardinals haven't traded Rosen yet, number 1. There's not really any chatter except for rumors about the Redskins and this and that and everything else. So that's your A. Number B is they're saying they still don't know who they want, and they're talking to Bosa. They're talking to Josh Allen. They're talking to other quarterbacks besides Kyler Murray. So I'm not saying that they still won't go that route because anything can happen right now or tomorrow or Monday.
I mean, if you call Arizona right now and tell them you give them 3 first-round picks, they'll trade.
I think that's what's going to happen, and I still think it's the Raiders. So I still have Murray going to the Raiders. If you're Oakland,
it's a horrible move.
They're the Raiders.
I understand they're the Raiders. I'm just saying it's if you do that,
it's not a terrible move if he's good.
No, it still is. You have so many holes. You can't rush the passer. You don't have any wide receivers. Your quarterback's on the last year of his deal.
Antonio Brown.
That is true. I did forget about Antonio Brown being there, but
a lot of stuff can be fixed with a quarterback, though.
No, it can't.
Sure.
No. Tony Romo was a much better quarterback than people gave him credit for. The year the Cowboys were winning 8 games, they probably were a 4-5 win team.
Can I ask you a better question? Is it possible that the Cardinals don't take a quarterback, they draft Bosa number 1, and that they still get Kyler Murray at number 4? Is that physically possible?
The Cardinals?
Yeah.
No. I mean,
not the Cardinals, the Raiders at number 4.
Yes, that is possible.
I don't think it is.
The 49ers and the Jets don't need a quarterback.
Right. I think somebody would move up at that point, though. Especially when it got to number 3.
I think the Jets would be the team that you'd have to watch.
Yes.
Because I think the 49ers are staying to take Bosa.
Yeah, I agree. But if he's gone...
Well, yeah, they would take Josh Allen then.
It's intriguing.
My thing about the 49ers is quit drafting edge rushers in the first round. You've done it 3 out of the last 4 drafts, I believe. And you're terrible at it. Find something else to draft because apparently you can't evaluate the edge rush position.
Well, it's a new regime. John Lynch has done a decent job these 2 years, right? He's done okay.
And he's drafted edge rushers the last 2 years.
They've been talent-wise, yeah.
If they were talent-wise, then he wouldn't be drafting people.
He signed Jimmy G. He made that happen.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
So I've got
broke leg and all.
So I still have the Raiders trading up to number 1 to get Kyler Murray. I have Bosa at number 2. I still believe firmly the Jets are going to trade back, and I think Drew Lock is going to the Broncos. I think that's their Huckleberry at number 3. I think Josh Allen is going to go to the Cardinals, and I have Williams going to Tampa at number 5. That is my top 5. Now, for my changes, because of draft visits, at number 7, by the way, the Giants I still have taking Haskins at 6. I have the Jags taking Jawan Taylor now is what I switched, taking the O-lineman. I have the Lions now taking the best player available on my board, which is Devin White. And I have the Bills going for the tight end, going for TJ. Going for number 9. And then way back to number 17, instead of the Giants going receiver, I have the Giants actually going O-line for Barkley and for their new quarterback, and going Cody Ford. So other than that, my draft is exactly the same from what I covered last week. What do you got for us?
Well, I got my top 5 pretty much stayed the same. I got Murray going to the Cardinals, Bosa going to the 49ers, Allen's going to the Jets, and then Quentin Williams going to the Raiders, and then the Bucks taking Devin White.
Okay.
I also have the Giants still taking Ed Oliver. Where I did change, though, is I switched the Jags from taking a defensive player to taking Jawan Taylor out of Florida as well.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Because I think I had them taking T.J. Hawkinson for depth at wide receiver for more players out there. But the more I think about it, they got to shore up their offensive line. I mean, you just paid this quarterback all this money.
And you got the jailbird running the football, Fournette.
Yeah, so give the man some help.
Hey man, I'm done. I don't care. I'm buying all the stocks in Fournette in the world this year. That dude's gonna fall to the 2nd and 3rd round. I don't care if he's injured. I'll take him at that price. But that's a story for another day.
It is. Now, just some notable changes. I still have Detroit taking Drew Lock at 10.
Okay.
But I do have the Bengals taking Dwayne Haskins at 11. I have them falling to 11.
Really?
I do.
The Bengals? Okay.
The Bengals.
There's a lot of chatter about the Bengals taking a quarterback.
They need a quarterback. Andy Dalton's not their future. He's on the last year of his deal.
Do you know they've only met with one? I forget the name. It's a guy that's predicted to go like in the 2nd or 3rd round. Forgive me for not remembering his name. Yes. Yeah. That's the only quarterback I think the Bengals have met with. Which doesn't... I mean, the Bears didn't meet with Trubisky.
They did not.
And then they moved up to get him.
Yeah. Speaking of Daniel Jones, I have him going 17th overall to the New York Football Giants.
Wow. That's pretty good.
That's my bold pick of the first round right there.
So we're doing the first round next week. And the cool thing... So, like, this universe that I've created in my mock draft where I have Kyler Murray going to the Raiders might not be a thing next week. Because if there's no chatter about the Raiders moving up, I'm just going to have to submit and make it not be a thing.
Are you going to tap out?
Well, we'll have to at that point, right? I know Chris and I will have some cool stuff as well for Cowboy fans we'll talk about next week. We're going to do a draft special hosted by 105.3 The Fan tomorrow night. And it's going to be some of the radio hosts and draft experts are going to be there. So they're going to be talking. They're all about Cowboys. So it's going to be predominantly talking about who the Cowboys should be drafting and everything else. But we'll get a little bit of insight from some really knowledgeable draft people on everything. So that's cool.
Two of my favorite guys to listen to on the radio or on their programs. Brian Broaddus. He works for the Cowboys in their scouting department. He does a lot of the TV shows, radio shows for them.
Yeah.
He's a big part of it. He used to be a scout for the Packers, the Cowboys, the Eagles.
Oh man,
He's worked for a lot of teams. The guy knows what he's doing. Don't listen to him on quarterbacks. He'll even tell you that he's not any good at the quarterback position. Otherwise, the Cowboys wouldn't have been signing Chad Henson and all that.
yeah.
Jeff Kavanaugh will be there.
He writes for The Athletic now, by the way.
Yep.
Him and KT Fun Tweets.
KT Fun Tweets will be there.
Yeah, they both write for The Athletic, which is phenomenal.
Is
a great
Is
sports...
Dane Brugler going to be there?
Yes.
Dane Brugler is my second favorite, and he is my go-to guy on all things draft.
Very cool.
What he says is the gospel.
Well, I'm excited. I thank you for scoring tickets. So
hey, I entered in one. That's all I can tell you.
So we'll do. So next week's podcast will be Game of Thrones, season 2 or episode 2. We'll be talking about big time. I mean, the draft's going to take majority of the episode.
Oh yeah, we're doing the podcast. We'll do it next Wednesday, like we always do. It'll be the day before.
Right, and then we'll have a lot of Cowboy talk going on because we'll be talking about our second and third round pick predominantly.
Cowboys had their pre-draft meeting today. It's really weird how they hold a pre-draft meeting.
Right.
For the media and everything, talking about their plans. It's weird.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio today. So it'll be cool. And then obviously the draft is the next day. Thursday. And then we'll have a full recap on everybody on what's awesome and what wasn't. So that's some exciting stuff, big time. And then of course we'll keep the bracket talk and the playoff talk going. The Stars game starting in like 30 minutes. I'm hyped. Tonight is I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Oh goodness. So before we go today, we're gonna go back into the world of non-sports. We're gonna send everybody off, kind of letting them to know us. I know that I've had some lists. I've talked about my top video games. I've talked about sports video games I like. I've even talked about some of the nerd stuff on previous podcasts before Chris joined the team and became my player too. But quite frankly, I haven't really got to know Chris. We know, of him. We know what his thoughts are. Hi. But we don't know a lot about what makes the man tick. So we're going to make sure to give you a little bit of us. Because I want our listeners to trust our sports knowledge. Feel like they want to listen to us. They need to listen to us. What does Chris think about the Oklahoma City Thunder being down 0-2? Do they have a chance?
No.
Is there some water cooler talk I can have? I mean, little things like that. That's what we want to bring the listener is trust and just a like. I want when you see a movie for you to be like, I wonder what those two guys think about that movie. That's kind of what we want this to turn into and where we want to go. So, first off, I'm into some super nerdy stuff. I'm a sportsaholic, and I'm not that I'm a rare breed because I hear these, fantasy sports personalities talk about wrestling and talk about comics and stuff like that. But some of the most nerdy things I'm into is I still play Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I'm a huge Zelda fan. In fact, to our Game of Thrones watching party, I wore the House Zelda t-shirt since I don't own a Game of Thrones one.
And for those of you who don't pay attention, Zelda is not the name of the main character. His name is Link.
It is Link. I'm still in the comics. I still buy. I toned it down, but I still buy like 1 or 2 comics a week. I literally go to my local comic store, and he pulls the comics out for me. I'm collecting Star Wars Vader comic, Spider-Man, and Uncanny X-Men right now, and I've been reading them for like the last year. So I still do that. All about collectibles. When a video game comes out, if it comes with like a toy, something I can put in my bookshelf or something like that, I'm all about it. If you look at my bookshelf, and you guys, once we start doing this YouTube Live, can see some of the nerddom that is mine. But I know Chris can see that I've got a Ken toy and Link that just came out last week that I got that I added to the collection. So that's cool.
He doesn't mean Ken the Barbie doll either.
Oh, I do. No, Ken from Street Fighter. Hadouken! Ken.
Hadouken!
And then superhero movies, they're my thing. Especially, man, you want to see me hyped? You want to see me nerd out and talk and pace and be ready? Batman movies, man. I like Avengers, but I love freaking Batman. That DC gets me like no other. And I love Marvel too, but DC gets me. And then Star Wars is my number one most just gigantic nerd thing possible. Like I read the comics, I play the games, I watch the shows, watch the cartoons, have the toys. There's a wedding gift. Somebody gave me a Luke Skywalker toy that's sitting in my bookshelf. Star Wars is my jam. So I asked Chris to name me his top 5 movies. That's what we're going to close with, is both of our top 5 movies. This was tough for me, so I'm going to let you go first, and we'll see what you got. So since we're liking to do pop culture, let's see what you got and why you like it. We'll start it from number 5.
We're power ranking these things.
Do you want to people like lists, Chris.
Let's power rank them.
All right. What if you're ranking your number 5? What is your number 5 movie?
The Program.
Okay.
Do you know what movie The Program is?
Yeah, it's a sports movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a football movie.
Absolutely.
And it's got the guy that was in Batman Returns in it. Okay, he was on steroids, I think. Correct?
Craig Schaefer?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Okay, so why is that number 5?
I mean, it's just, it's such a good movie. It's not. It's a sports movie. It's not so much about the storyline. We all know what it is. Joe is the quarterback. He's got the Heisman hype and all that stuff, and he can't quit drinking. The team is falling downhill and all that stuff. It's just a great movie about kids coming up, failures, succeeding on the football field.
I dig it. All right.
Number 4, Varsity Blues.
Oh, very nice.
All I gotta say is whipped cream bikini.
I don't want your life.
I don't want your life.
I have a really rude joke about that I won't say because we might lose the 4 listeners that we have.
Yeah, let's not do that. We need the 4 listeners.
Just kidding. We have at least 6.
Yeah, my wife's one of them.
Yes, and what is next?
Next is the Pirates of the Caribbean series, the whole thing.
Okay, which one will be your favorite of the trilogy? There's 4 of them, or is there 5 now? There's 5.
There's 5 now. My favorite would be the 3rd one.
Okay.
At the end, Will becomes, he becomes the undead.
It's a good series.
Yeah,
man.
it's a great series. Yeah.
It's hard to believe it came from a ride.
I know.
Isn't that wild? And a pretty terrible ride.
At Disney World. Yeah. It's a lot better now from what I hear.
Yeah,
they've redone it.
We did it when we took the kids. It was cool.
And then the next one is
this is number 2.
Number 2 is the whole MCU universe. You can't break it out because everything ties into each other.
You're such a cheater.
I'm not cheating.
Give me your favorite Marvel movie, number 2.
It's Infinity War.
Okay.
It's easy.
Fair enough.
Infinity War, but my all-time favorite movie is The Goonies.
Ah, yes, Sloth, Love, Chunk.
Hey, you guys!
Yeah, pretty much. Do the truffle shuffle. Come on, do it.
I love that movie. Josh Brolin in the gang.
Goonies is awesome.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Goonies.
No, it's a good, very, very phenomenal movie. So my list we have not one same movie, so that's pretty exciting. So you can tell we didn't cheat this. So I'll power rate mine real quick. And this is tough. I have movies. If you look behind you, Chris, and the listener can't see this, but just imagine visually about 300 Blu-rays looking at you, and I got that going on. My wife absolutely hates it. She still questions why I buy movies sometimes. I've toned it way down over the years. I used to go every Tuesday. Like, literally, this was a thing. Every Tuesday, I would go buy a movie. It was new release day at Target. And I would go on the way home. This was back when I had my other job. And I would go and buy a Blu-ray or DVD at the time. And even if I'd never seen it before, I'd pick one and buy it. But I've totally toned that down. Now I just stick to my nerd, Star Wars, superhero, John Wick, that kind of movie purchases. But as far as movies go for me, and this is my top 5, man. Jeez, it was tough. It took me longer to do my top 5 than it did this entire podcast plan. Like everything we're going to talk about. Number 5 for me is Forrest Gump. It's one of the rare movies that's made me cry. It's just, I get emotional. It's such a funny story. I don't know. Did you know they made a sequel to Forrest Gump?
No.
It was a book, because the original's a book as well. I actually did a book report on it senior year and actually read the book. And it was way different. Jenny didn't die. And Forrest Gump started it working in a strip club.
How do you do a sequel to a movie where the characters die?
She was alive in the book.
Oh, okay.
So in the book, she never died. And in the book, the second book is all 80s stuff. So, he goes through like civil rights, he goes through the Vietnam War and all these things in the first Forrest Gump, right? This one's like, he's there for the fall of the wall of Germany. And it was a good book. But I just love Forrest Gump. It's one of those movies you can watch with anybody at any time. And it's really, you can just put it on and be like, all right.
Let me ask you this question real quick. It just popped in my head.
Okay.
Is Joe Dirt the redneck version of Forrest Gump?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. That's an underrated comedy too. I like it. It's very stupid, but I like it. Number 4 for me is Aliens.
I never got into the Aliens.
Not the first one, the second one. Have you seen Aliens?
I've seen all of them. I never got into them.
Oh man, I loved it. Do you know I'm a big Halo fan? I love Halo. It's the only reason I own an Xbox. Really, I love Halo. Most of Halo, like the lore of the bad guys in it and the guns and the design of everything is from the Aliens movie. Predominantly Aliens, the second. So there's a little nerd fact for anybody who doesn't know. That movie it scared me. The Queen, the everything. It's long. It's awesome. That's my movie. Number 3, and man, for me really number 3 could be one. It's Empire Strikes Back. I remember seeing this movie, and I didn't watch Star Wars first. Okay, I'm 37 years old, so Star Wars, Empire, and Return were all out before I was born. I believe our Return came out the year I was born.
Yeah.
And the first Star Wars I watched was Empire. And I was like 6. I did not see Star Wars first. I remember watching it and just thinking how cool this was and just being mesmerized and taken aback by it. And being completely jacked up when Han Solo got put into carbonite in that movie. Like, that was the second movie that made me cry. Technically the first, because it came out way before that. But it really jacked with me. And the saving grace was that I was so upset. I remember going to my mom. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, God, it killed Han. I was so upset. And so she took me to Blockbuster to rent The Return of the Jedi so I could see that he didn't die and that everything was okay. And then eventually I watched Star Wars as well. But that was the start for me, just falling in love with the Star Wars series. And yeah, Empire's in my top 5. It's number 3. I still watch this movie probably once a year. I own it on Blu-ray. And heck, I want to watch it right now. I love it. Number 2 for me is Pulp Fiction. I'm a Quentin Tarantino dude, man. I love the writing. I love the out of order. I just like the difference of his movies.
I don't like Tarantino's movies.
They're not for everybody, man. They are not for everybody. They're weird. Some people need order.
Structure. Right,
and they need structure. I appreciate the art aspect of films. And so Pulp Fiction is my number 2. I dug the acting. I loved everything about it. And then number 1 for me. Oh, by the way, I have a signed script of Pulp Fiction. By the way, it's part of my nerd collection by Quentin Tarantino and the whole cast.
I have a signed script of Super Troopers too.
Oh, that's equally awesome. And the number 1 for me is Fight Club. I love Fight Club. Did not see it coming. It blew my mind about the just everything about it. I dug the writing, the direction, the fact that it's in his head. I know my wife thinks that's an easy way out. It's a cop-out. She actually would put Fight Club in her bottom 5 movies of all time, probably. Hence why I've only seen it 1 time since we've been together. But for me, Fight Club is just legit. It's there.
I love Fight Club.
You know, notable misses for me. I'm a big sci-fi guy. District 9. I freaking love
District 9's a good movie.
I love District 9. That's in my top 10. And man, there's just so many other awesome things to talk about. I can go on movies for hours upon hours upon hours. So that's what we got for you. I think Chris is about to hack up a lung right now.
I thought I was about to have the sneeze attack, so I walked away and Zach looked at me like I was having a seizure or an
I don't know what was going on.
What was going on over here?
But anyway, that's Chew on Sports for you this week. We got a little personal. We talked a little nerd. We talked a little sports. Hopefully, when we see the draft go down, you see our playoff brackets, you realize that Chris knows nothing about hockey. Zach knows more than he comes off as about hockey. And it seems like we both know a little bit about basketball. So you believe in our in our expertise. I
apparently know more about basketball than I know about hockey because my hockey bracket is gone.
So we appreciate you for tuning in, as always. And we're excited every week to bring you more and more content. There's a lot of cool things we're going to be trying and just more things we're going to bring to you, the listener. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the listening. And you have yourself a kick butt rest of your day. Go Stars.
Peace.